Okay, here we go. Alright, let me join y'all over there on the road encounter. So, as you ended the last game, you had taken a long rest. No, sorry, a short rest. Let's see. You had looked over the bodies, gotten what loot there was to get after your fight. Mooney and Spruce, you two are feeling quite woozy. There's and the bites that you got from the dogs are burning. As you gather yourselves together, you hear distantly a rattling sound as of wagons, and as you listen, the stamp of feet. Lights begin to pass nearby. As they draw closer, you can see what appears to be a caravan, perhaps 100 yards away. Wagons pulled by gigantic boars bear various supplies and people. A tall, broadly built man begins to approach. He passes out of the light of the caravan, and you can see him dimly outlined as he crosses the distance between them. When he gets close to about 40 feet away, he stops. You see that his mask has concentric circles. He carries a longbow in one hand and an arrow in the other. It isn't notched. He nods in greeting. So Lux is hiding. Strider, you have your crossbow drawn.
Mm-hmm.
Spruce and Mooney, what stance do you take?
I get ready to cast.
Okay.
Can I, like... Shoot, I have a sword. Can I, like, try to... I probably still have my sword out from the whole thing, but I'm gonna try to, like, keep it hidden under the robe so it's not quite as obvious, and...
Your sword is currently sheathed. You just got finished taking a short rest.
Okay.
You basically crashed on the side of the road under that tree and just caught your breath. You see another figure peel off from the caravan and kind of disappear into the darkness between, probably backup. The man who approached says, that you work there. He nods at the corpses on the ground.
You didn't kill them.
None of them?
Just the terrible looking
The dogs.
the dogs in that abomination over there.
He nods. He looks up and down the road. He says, you going south to Surgeontown.
Yes.
Do you know of it? What do you know of it?
He says, caravan is heading in that direction. Normally we'd pass you by, but some of our muscle got bit by dogs. We'll pick them up some antitoxin in Surgeontown, but we're low on defense. You look like you can handle yourselves.
Our own have been bitten as well, if that's not going to be a problem.
He says, fortuitous for you, perhaps. Trade you passage in the caravan for guard duty.
All right. Where's Lux?
Where's your
Okay.
other friend?
Lux walks out cautiously.
Lux, hurry up.
Well, as Lux appears in the circle of light, the other guard who came to back him up does as well. They turn and they share a whisper that you can't hear from this distance, and then the other guard returns to the caravan. And he says, well, free to join us. And he nods toward the caravan and begins walking back in that direction.
All right, Spruce, I'll help you up. Let's go.
If I'm honest, if it wasn't for me and Mooney not feeling so hot, I would really decline. After our last little bit, I don't want to lose any more people.
Well, this caravan looks relatively large, and from this distance, you can see quite a few wagons, perhaps a dozen wagons. There's lots of supplies, and perhaps 2 or 3 dozen people.
Yeah, I don't think they're small enough to care.
Alright, gang, do we want to have any other game plan? Some signal that we all can acknowledge, or... I want us
The
to
other plan
still...
is to sit here and die.
Thanks, Mooney.
I'm just being realistic.
What I'm trying to
scenes
say-
in a place, scream pickle and
Walk
we
and
leave.
talk. Walk
Yeah,
and talk.
wait, no. Okay, good. Pickle, okay. We just need to figure out a way where we can make sure we have
Wait,
the
what?
upper hand. Like a code word or something.
Anything goes wrong, scream or say pickle and we get the heck out.
The heck is a pickle?
I don't know.
Come on.
It's a good word, and it's our safety word.
Come on, let's get the woozy
Never.
ones into a cart.
Yeah, come on.
Okay.
Let's go.
Well,
Touch me.
when you join the caravan, the guy who originally approached you, the one with the mask with the concentric circles, meets you there. Yeah, let's go to the world map.
Bill? Mask looks like a target.
Hmm.
Oh, I thought concentric circles like weird echo things. Target makes way more sense.
Yeah.
He says, well, yours looks like a cattle brand.
Are you calling me a heifer?
I think you called yourself one.
Ooh.
He said, I speak no lies.
I'll remember that.
Only till you die.
Ooh.
I passed
Okay.
Mooney some water.
They pass you some.
Mm.
He says, name Spring. You?
Strider.
Look,
And this is Mooney and Lux.
And the big one?
Spruce. Nice to meet you.
Well met. Got the look of a hunter on you, Spruce.
Well, you could say that.
He said, I will.
Okay, you said it.
Where do you come? How long have you been in this world?
He kind of gives you a look. He says, oh, you're not a native.
No. And
Hmm.
I assumed by your mask that you weren't either.
Spruce elbows Strider.
He's he says, no. Everyone in Magarot has the mask.
Mm.
The only ones that don't are the ones who have become them.
Become them?
Yeah, he says, I don't know much about it.
You seem to know a lot.
Well,
No,
only...
you know more than we do, and we'd appreciate anything you have.
He says, every now and then I meet one of the summoned ones, I guess. We don't have a specific term.
Mm-hmm.
As far as where I'm from, well, this time I'm from the Bone Forest.
Oh? The brothers?
You must have heard wrong. They're not brothers, per se. There are 3 hunters in the Bone Forest. As soon as I realized where I was, I hightailed it out of there as fast as I could. Thankfully, I remember enough light to make a candle glow, but that's about it. It was enough to get out of the woods, though.
I see.
Is Lux yelling pickle and running?
Yeah.
Lux, get back here.
Lux is thinking, but you can see panic in her eyes.
Okay. He
In her mask eye.
he says, I guess you don't know how it works around here, huh?
I guess not. Care
kinda-
to elaborate?
He kind of taps his chin. He says, natives don't die. Or, well, they do die. But they don't stay dead. At least, usually. You die, and it seems as though the earth spits you out somewhere.
And what do you come back as?
A person. Same thing you left as. Modifications usually don't last. It's a bit like being reincarnated. Mooney, what did you want to say?
I know, it's like, where do you go?
Don't know. Oblivion. And then you come back. But you leave behind something there. Most of the time you don't remember your death. You just know you died. And you forget other things as well. The more you die, the less you remember.
Have you died before?
Well, yes, that's why I woke up in the bone forest this time.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
Everybody dies eventually.
So this caravan, I assume you woke alone when you came back. So how did you come to join this caravan?
Well, as I said, I ran from the forest south and joined the caravan because I vaguely remember being in a caravan guard before. I don't know if it was this caravan. He says, caravan guard's life is very hard. You tend to die a lot. He kind of points backwards to a sort of medic cart where he's indicated that the guards who had been bitten by the dogs earlier are being kept. He says, it means you forget the light quicker. And you notice that the caravan is well lit, by the way. He takes a small bit of flint out of his pocket and kind of strikes it on a twig and lights a small fire. And you can see that it glows just faintly. And he blows it out and puts it all back in his pocket. And he says, I remember just a little, just enough to give myself a candle's light. Makes me lucky. Some don't remember the light at all. He says, and some, and he points over towards a larger wagon. It is armored. It's pulled by 8 boars. It's surrounded by 8 very well-armored guards, and on top are 4 archers. And he said, that's why the caravan can run. They remember more light than I do. It means that they can give it to people around them. He says, but only the Solarcrats can summon people like you. And only they can give light at great distances.
By Solarcrat. Does that also mean the Silver Lady?
Spruce immediately covers her face. Our friend likes to talk randomly. She doesn't know what she's saying sometimes.
I know what I'm saying. I'm referring to the Silver Lady.
Well, he says, oh, I've never met anyone summoned by the Silver Lady before.
Tell you, both of you.
But you know who she is.
Of course. He says, I know of all of the Solarcrats in this region.
Is a Solar.
He
But
says,
you never met any?
I've met the Mask Collector. Actually, when I escaped from the Bone Forest recently, I stopped by his estate.
Wait. The bone collector? I'm sorry,
D-
not bone collector.
Bone
The
Forest.
bone collector?
Okay.
Holocrat?
Oh yes. He remembers the light.
Mm.
And he does.
He says, but I approached his estate. I happened to see a light in the upstairs window and the silhouette of a woman. He was very welcoming to me until I asked about the silhouette, and then he suddenly had no room. The prick.
Wow.
Well,
Go.
I don't quite remember why I shouldn't stay there, but I don't think I should. I'm glad I left.
One other question I have.
Yes, sir. Ma'am.
What does your mask mean?
He says, if I ever knew, I don't know now.
It's a shame.
Well, since we're telling our life stories here, everyone. Spring, what are you guys
Sorry, Spruce.
caravanning? What are you transporting? It seems like you're protecting things.
Well, first of all, he claps you on the shoulder and he says, come now. Everyone needs friends in this world. And then
Absolutely. Here.
Last time we made friends, we almost died.
that happens sometimes too.
Forgive me for having a really short trusting fuse. You gotta do a lot for me to trust. And so
Sure,
far, I
sure.
can trust these four when they're not chatting all the time.
The other one. There's only 3 of us. Besides you.
She doesn't trust her. He doesn't trust himself either.
I don't.
So he explains that they trade. It's a trading caravan, and there are also some pilgrims.
Oh, y'all just travel around?
Well, it's what trading caravans do.
Gus Bruce.
That's fair.
Um,
Sounds like something you and Strider would do then, Mooney. Y'all would travel. I just get this feeling.
Absolutely. It feels good.
well, it is nice being in the company of a lot of different people. The caravan seems well managed.
That aren't trying to kill us.
Well, as far as you can tell, there's no overt hostility here, and this Spring seems chatty enough and willing to share. So he explains that currently they're heading to what he calls Surgeontown, which is where the surgeon lives and carries out his practice. It's a popular destination because it's the largest population center in this region. Because of the surgeon's renown and his sometimes cultish following, he indicates the pilgrims.
Oh, like religious?
He says, in a fashion, they wish to go under the knife.
Why?
It is disturbingly
Complicated.
attractive. Perhaps you'll see when you get there.
Yeah.
Spruce leans into Strider and anybody else nearby, trying to whisper outside of Spring's hearing that it seemed like the guy we met didn't seem so excited about that, and it seemed very unwilling.
But
So we
remember,
should-
he said he was a thief. That was what was coming to him.
I wonder if his friend was a willing participant.
We
Ask.
don't know.
Ask.
Ask?
Friend was a willing.
Well, I mean, he's gone. We don't know where that guy
Yeah,
went.
he's gone now.
The dude who had, like, what, his wrist removed, but the rest of his hand intact? He's flopping around?
Y'all sent him to the collect, didn't you?
Well,
Yeah.
we sent him there, but wasn't he trying to go towards the
He wanted to go to the Silver Sea. He wanted to reach the Silver Lady. Now, you sent him, you directed him to the collector's estate and gave him a little bit of light. And last you saw, he was moving off north-northwest. So you don't know if he went to the collector's estate or if he changed his path later. At this point, you're not sure.
I feel like I should ask more.
Well.
I can't think of anything.
What do you know about the Baron?
He says,
Huh?
"Now, I know you're new, and so I won't hold it against you. But if you mention the name again, I'll cut your vocal cords out.
Understand.
And trust me,
Right.
everyone in the caravan would help hold you down.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try not to kill you, I promise. I bear you no ill will. But do not speak that name."
Why?
He says, "Perhaps it's just superstition to believe that saying the name might summon the creature. But you only need to see him once, and you'll take any superstition you can."
Understood.
Duly noted.
So, do you know anything about he who must not be named?
He says, "I would rather not speak of it."
Another question I have.
Go ahead.
I saw someone die. Had a mask. Died, their mask.
I think you
The
cut.
mask remained.
Yeah, I think you're cutting out, Ronnie. No, the mask actually dissolved.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that what you're asking about?
Yeah.
Okay. He says, "That's natural. The body remains and rots. I suppose it is taken back in by the earth, circle of death or something like that. The mask, though, it goes wherever the spirit goes and rejoins its owner if it's reborn here. Those like yourself from the other world, you are not reborn here. Whether you return to your world when you die, I do not know."
I hadn't considered that.
There's too many possibilities. I don't want to think about it.
Oh,
God,
okay.
it just makes me twitch. Anyway, anything else?
Well, y'all mentioned a couple of questions before the game. Think about what you were asking.
Oh, what do you? Oh, well, I guess he doesn't know more about the mask collector. 'Cause he didn't really stay there.
Yeah,
Well-
and he's mentioned that he doesn't really remember much about him.
Can you tell me about darkness here?
About what?
Yeah.
Is it a living thing?
Oh, the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "I know vaguely there was an event. I used to remember. I remember the name, it was the starvation. And after the starvation, there was no more light. Where it went, I don't know. But darkness replaced it. And now all you see is darkness. The only light is in our memories, if we can keep them. But each time we die, we lose them. The Solarcrats, well, one would assume they have died the least. Some say that some of them may have been alive when the starvation occurred, but who could drag it out of them?"
Wow. And what about the monsters? What are they? And where are they coming from?
He says some kind of curse or parasite. Many were once people. Perhaps they wandered in the darkness until they went insane, and some malevolent force overcame them.
So Lux, stop hiding in the dark.
I don't go far though.
Or where we can't see.
She has a good memory. I'm surprised that merely the memory can protect you.
Don't ask me how it works. I barely remember it all.
Thank you so much for being so forthcoming.
So, here in Mabarot, everyone has a mask, even the natives.
Correct.
Why is that, and what happens if you lose it?
Hell if I know.
We've traveled a lot, and we might have seen someone who'd had theirs, well, sewn on.
Oh. That is the work of the surgeon.
That's what we suspect.
He says some
But
have it done on purpose. The surgeon, he will do it at request. Sometimes he does it on his own. He seems to think that it protects the mask somehow. I would say ask the pilgrims, but, well, they're difficult to talk to.
oh, is that so?
What with all the blessings, brother, and I hope you fall under the knife.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Maybe some other time. So what business do you have in Surgeontown besides healing your vanguard?
He says, well,
What are you trading?
mostly potions. The surgeon is a marvel at alchemy. He can churn out more potions than entire enclaves of other alchemists.
Alchemy, you say? Somehow that reminds me of something.
So Surgeontown is a fine place to trade for potions. We bring food and other materials. The pilgrims mostly wait in line, so there's always a need for food. And they always need cloth for bandages.
I see. I was just trying to think of anything we might have to trade.
Have you ever encountered a man named Wolfman Jones?
He laughs. He says, Wolfman Jones never approaches the caravans, although I have heard of him.
What
They-
do you all make of him?
They say he mostly finds small groups of travelers. He's an odd one. He says, some go out with their fires seeking him. They say, and perhaps more superstition, if you set a large bonfire by yourself out in the dark, in the wilderness, and chant his name, that he will appear. I've never tried it.
They kind of just appeared for us.
As I say, they say that he approaches travelers, probably those who need his services and would be less likely to turn him away.
Makes sense. The smaller the group, the more desperate, I suppose.
So you wanted elaboration on other materials?
Yes.
Yeah.
He kind of begins going down a laundry list of general store type items. You realize when he said other materials, he really meant sort of miscellaneous stuff.
Yeah. Not like blood or anything.
Yeah.
Blood.
Like Wolfman.
Yeah.
Spring. Do you know of the ocean with a bench? Do you all know of anything about that?
You're asking about the Silver Sea to him?
Yeah.
He says, never been beyond the banks of the Silver Sea. I have heard that if summoned by the Silver Lady, you can walk out on the water. I have never been summoned and have never met anybody summoned by the Silver Lady. You're the first. And, no reason to trade there. We stop by the Chronicle Inn on the North Shore sometimes.
How was that?
Where the proprietress is, correct?
That's correct. You get in, you get out. You don't stay long. They're suspicious up there.
Oh. They don't like ciders much, huh?
I don't think it matters if you're an outsider. I will say this, if you need information, there's no better place and no worse place to find it than the Chronicle Inn.
Oh, good to know. Thank you very much. How much further
Well,
until Surgeontown?
you begin to see a light glowing on the horizon. It grows brighter and brighter until you see what appears to be a city emerging off the plain. There are actual buildings here, many of them, and street lamps. And you hear the sound of voices carrying out across the waste. The road becomes paved. Yeah, and in fact, you do have a bit of trouble adjusting your eyes to the light.
Ow.
It's almost light as you vaguely remember it.
Where is this light coming from?
He says, the surgeon is a solarcrat.
Where does everybody get this light?
Well,
Is it his own?
as he explained, a solarcrat can actually bless lights nearby and allow them to glow against the darkness. They remember the light from before the starvation. And that memory of light can be transmitted to others. The stronger the memory, the stronger the light, and the longer the distance that they can bless it. So, for example, your lights seem to work everywhere. The Silver Lady must have a very strong memory of light.
Uh-huh.
On the other hand, Spring's memory of light is so dim it's barely a candle's worth. You do notice that you can remember a vague light from your own world, but it seems to have no effect here.
Oh, so like sun does nothing.
Right. You remember light, but the light that you remember doesn't seem to penetrate the darkness here. Not the way theirs does.
Like the light of a small lamp.
Well, you can see lights in the darkness, but you can't see their radiance. Not unless it's light that is blessed by, in your case, the Silver Lady, a solarcrat. This caravan has a couple of, they call them old ones who have either been alive a long time, or they could even be relatively young but just haven't died very often, who have not had their memories taken from them by the death rebirth cycle. But the thing is the lights of this caravan only stretch for maybe a few dozen yards, and outside of that area they can no longer give light. The solarcrats, on the other hand, are powerful enough to give light all over the region, and that's why people tend to gather to them. The largest gatherings are here in Surgeontown, on the northern bank at the Chronicle Inn. The mass collector actually has a large number of people there. You saw quite a few guests and servants there. But nobody who seemed to have their own mask. So, you approach Surgeontown. It's more light than you've seen since you first awoke here on Mabarat. You've learned something from Spring, the talkative ranger with this trading caravan.
Dang, I feel like we're indebted to him. I desperately want to pay him back or do something for him.
Quite a turnaround, Spruce.
On the outskirts of town, there's a tent city, and you can see that it looks a little bit refugee. And he says, "Well, your duty here to the caravan is done. We will go further into town and do our trading. We'll be here a few days. When we turn north, if you happen to be around, we may have room to hire you. It depends on what the guard situation and mercenaries in the city look like." As he turns away, he turns back, and Spruce, he kind of pats you on the arm. He says, "I see you are nervous, but it is okay. It will serve you well here. Watch your things. They have a tendency to just walk away in Surgeontown. It's particularly bad here because there are so many people."
I hold my lamp tightly.
Duly noted. Thank you very much, Spring. Good luck.
Where can we find you in a few days?
He says, "Look near the trading quarter. You'll find it."
Okay, thank you. See you then, I guess.
He gives you the finger guns.